Hey guys, it's Kesara, and today we're going to be doing my most anticipated releases for 2025. In this video, we're going to be focusing on the first half of the year, so the months of January through June. The reason being is because I feel like we have enough information to have like my most anticipated releases for the first half of the year, but I just don't think we have enough information for the later half of the year yet. So I will be doing a follow-up for this sometime in 2025, so look out for that as well. But I'm super excited for some of the books that are going to be coming out in the first half of the year because there are some of my favorite authors on this list, which makes me really excited, and also like a lot of really good sequels to books that I loved. So definitely really excited for some of these. I will say though, I generally don't like knowing too much about the books that I'm going to read. So because of that, some of these I don't know too much about the books, but that doesn't change the fact that I'm excited for them and will likely pick these up at some point during the year. So in January, the new releases start off super strong, and on January 21st, we have Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. So for those of you who know me, you know I'm not the biggest romantasy reader. I'm definitely more of like a dark fantasy reader, but I feel like Fourth Wing just caught me at a good time. I was in the middle of a reading slump. I wasn't really reading anything else, and I got recommended this book, so I picked it up, and I ended up loving it. Did not like Iron Flame as much as Fourth Wing. Third books and finales, regardless of whether the third book is the finale, tends to be my favorite books in series. So I feel like Onyx Storm could be really great. Also, it was like a while since Iron Flame came out that Onyx Storm is coming out, so I feel like that's a good sign. This is obviously the third book in the, I guess, Fourth Wing trilogy, and it's a romantasy series about dragon riders, and that's really all you have to know about it. I will be doing a reread of Fourth Wing and Iron Flame in anticipation, mostly because I honestly don't remember that much from the series, so look out for those reading vlogs when they come up because I will be talking about them in detail. But yes, I'm super excited for this. I feel like this series could potentially end up being like one of my favorite romantasy series. There's a pretty low bar there for me, but I'm still super excited for this. The other book in January that I'm super excited for is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. So Grady Hendrix is like more of a horror writer. He like inserts humor into his books. I haven't actually picked up anything by him yet, but this is the first one that I feel like kind of fits my vibe because it's like witchcraft vibes. So I feel like this could definitely be one that I end up picking up as like one of the first books by this author, and I'm excited to see if I ended up loving it because the other one that I considered picking up by him is like, I forgot what it's called, but it's the vampire one with the peach on the cover. Vampires are very hit or miss for me, so I feel like witches are just more safe territory, and it's for an author that I haven't read before, so I feel like this could be a good one to pick up because this is an author that I've been hearing a lot about and definitely want to actually get to reading some of his books. Then in February, we have Shroud by Adrian Tchaikovsky, and this book is coming out on the 27th, and it's described as like an alien encounter and survival story, which just reminds me a lot of Children of Time. I will be finishing the Children of Time series first before I move on to anything by this author, but this definitely gives me the same vibes as how Children of Time is described. So I feel like this might be like the next book by this author that I pick up, even though there's so many books by this author that I still need to pick up because I've only read one book by him, and so far I loved it, but I feel like this one is just kind of like in the same vein as that book, which just makes me more excited for it. Then in March, we have Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne, which is coming out on the 18th of March, which Suzanne Collins is one of my favorite authors of all time, which is like weird for me to say, but I've read almost every book by her. I actually like her from her non-Hunger Games series, like the one that she wrote before the Hunger Games, but I still really love the Hunger Games trilogy as well. So I do like the prequel book, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This one, Sunrise on the Reaping, is supposed to be like Haymitch's story. So I feel like Haymitch is just a character that I enjoy a lot more than Snow. So I feel like this one could potentially be a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to get to it. Another book that I'm excited for that's coming out in March is Faithbreaker by Hannah Kanner. So this is the third book in the God Killer series, and I recently read God Killer and was pleasantly surprised with how much I loved it. I'm gonna be picking up Sunbringer hopefully soon. I had planned to pick it up in the last week of December, but it kind of didn't happen, but I do still plan to pick it up before the third book comes out in March, which I think is coming out on March 13th, and hopefully I'll end up loving Sunbringer so I can be super excited for Faithbreaker as well. But this series is following like 3 different characters in a high fantasy world in which gods kind of live among humans. These gods can be like really small because because they don't have a lot of worshippers, or they can become really powerful. I just love the setting. I like the world building, and what really drew me in was the character development. Like around halfway through the book, I realized I was really invested in these characters, and that just made the book so much better for me. So I'm excited to see what else this author has to bring to the series. So moving into April, there are 5 books in April that I'm super excited for. Like, it's just the month with the most releases that I'm excited for. The first one is probably the book in this month that I'm the most excited for, and that is A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett. I absolutely love the first book in the series, The Tainted Cup, and this is the sequel to The Tainted Cup. I already have an arc of this, so I'll be getting to this for April, but I'm still so excited for it. So it's set in this world in which there's these big things called like leviathans. I kind of like think of them like almost like whales that occasionally come up and attack this wall, and there was recently a collapse in which a lot of people died in the first book at least, and then there was this like murder mystery plot also going along, which is kind of like the main plot of that story, but it's following a character who's like the assistant to the investigator, and he like has this power in which he could smell scent and like use that to like anchor memories, so that he basically has an eidetic memory, so when he smells the scent again he can recall all those memories immediately. And the murder mystery was due to plants basically bursting out of people suddenly, which I just thought was so interesting. I find this world intriguing, and I really want to see what else happens. I've heard the second book has a lot of like political intrigue, which is definitely my favorite part of a lot of these books, is like the politics in fantasy novels. So I'm really excited to see where this series goes. And then we have a book that I've literally been waiting years for, and that is Silverborn by Jessica Townsend. This is the 4th book in Morgan Crow series. This is just such an adorable middle grade series that I love so much. It gives very like Harry Potter-ish vibes, but like more modern, and I've literally been waiting for this book to come out for years, like since I was last on BookTube. So I found out that it wasn't out yet, and I was just like, what? How did that book not come out yet? But anyways, I'm super excited for it. I feel like because it's taken this long, it's gotta be like really good, right? I don't know, we'll see, but I'm really excited to see what else this series has to offer. Obviously this is a book that's following Morgan Crow, who was supposed to die but then is instead chosen to enter this school for magic users, and it's just like a very whimsical like magical story that I ended up really loving, and I'm really excited for the next installment in this series. And then we have another book that is by a new-ish to me author. Like, I've read only one series by this author, and that's The Gifted and the Talented by Olivie Blake. So obviously I've read the Atlas 6 trilogy by her, and I ended up really loving it, which I was surprised how low ratings it has on Goodreads, because I feel like it's a super popular series and I felt like it was pretty well done, but I still ended up loving it. So I'm excited to see what else she has to offer. And this one I believe is following 3 siblings after their father dies, which I just feel like is a good setup for a story. I really like sibling stories. I feel like it's different than like romantic relationships or even just like friend relationships. I feel like there's a certain dynamic siblings have that you can't get in other relationships. So I'm definitely excited to see how that relationship goes, because I feel like one thing this author does really well is the character development. So I'm excited to see how it goes in this next book. And then the last 2 books that I have for this month that I'm excited for are not auto buy authors, but auto read authors. So I don't necessarily always buy their books, but I always read the next book when they have a new book out. And these are both romantic contemporaries. The first one is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. Abby Jimenez is an author that I found this past year that I ended up really loving her romantic contemporaries, and I'm really excited to see another book by her. The series that I read by her previously started with Part of Your World. It just felt like an elevated, more like mature version of like a contemporary romance, like what you would read like in high school. So I just really like that, and it really worked for me. So I'm definitely excited to see another just like feel good romance from her. And then kind of like on the same vein, we have Great Big Beautiful Lie by Emily Henry. Emily Henry is an author that I feel like she usually has pretty good setups and really good execution of her romantic contemporaries. So I always end up loving them. I will say I don't remember them that well usually afterwards, but they're always a good time. So I'm definitely excited to pick up her next book, and I think April is just like the perfect time for that. So I will definitely be picking up this one as well. And then in May, we have the book that I am the most excited for out of all of these, and that is The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. Joe Abercrombie is one of my favorite authors of all time. I will absolutely read pretty much anything that he writes, so I'm really excited for this. This is set in a different fantasy world than his first Law series, so I'm super excited to see like his world building in a new world, and just like in general, like just excited to have a new Joe Abercrombie book. And this one seems to have like a little bit more of like the humorous side to things. It's following a character named Brother Diaz, who seems to be like some sort of religious figure who has like people that are followers to him, but then there are also elves involved, and obviously the devils are like on his side, so I don't know what that means, but it sounds interesting. I'm here for it. I actually already do have an arc of this one. I will be reading it before it actually comes out, but that doesn't reduce my excitement. That just makes me even more excited, and I just anxiously optimistic about this. Like, I really want to love it, but I think because it's Joe Abercrombie, I probably will end up loving it anyway. And then we also have a few random books that I'm also excited for. We have The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. So Rachel Gillig is an author that I recently read and ended up really liking. That series was her Shepherd King duology series, and I liked the atmosphere and the setting and just like the regular fantasy plot of it. Didn't love the romantasy side of it that much, but I'm excited to see what else she has. I'm cautiously optimistic about her new release coming out next year, and this one seems to have like similar vibes, almost like gothic, like dark fantasy vibes, and this one also has like mist involved, so I feel like it's gonna have a good atmosphere, and I'm here for it. Also, I feel like her writing style I actually really loved, so this is probably one that I'll pick the audiobook of for, because just that type of writing style I really love to listen on audio. And then we have another auto by author, and this is a contemporary author, and that's Frederick Backman with My Friends. I don't know anything about this book other than like it's following a group of friends, which like I guess you could tell from the title, but like his books, like most of my auto by authors, I prefer not to know that much about going into it. This is definitely going to be one that I pick up before the end of the year. I might not pick it up right away, but it'll be one of those books that I slot in between just lulls in my otherwise busy reading schedule, and I'm definitely excited for another Backman book. And then in June, I do have one book that I'm excited for, and that's Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Sun by V.E. Schwab. So this one is following vampires through, it looks like it's going to be in multiple different time periods. So the structure of this novel, I feel like gives me similar vibes to The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which is like one of my favorite books. But I will say it's the only book that I like by V.E. Schwab, but I'm hoping it's kind of like on the same vein as The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, so I'll end up loving this. It is about vampires though, which like I said before, very hit or miss for me, so I could end up loving this, I could end up not loving this, but I feel like sometimes reading a book that you don't like could be an interesting experience also. Like sometimes I thoroughly enjoy the experience of reading a book, even if I don't actually like the book. So, I mean, I feel like that could be a good experience as well. I don't know. We'll see. V.E. Schwab's books are very hit or miss for me. Vampires, very hit or miss for me. So I'm looking forward to this. I feel like it'll be a good time whether I like it or not. So that is all I have for you today. Let me know in the comments if you are interested in any of these books and what are some of your most anticipated releases for next year, because that could be something that I end up picking up as well. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up to support my channel. I'm doing at least one video per week, but with some bonus videos thrown in here or there for 2025. So please consider subscribing. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.